This is Julie Hogue with the Vegetarians and Meat Lovers Split Table Recipes podcast, where I talk about food, recipes, cooking for yourself, for your family, especially for split table. So it's anything and everything about food. And I really do focus on trying how to cook for a split table, which is a recipe that I'm going to share today. We had it this weekend. My college-age son, we had a pool party, and I made these little sliders, the Hawaiian Bread Party Sliders, and it was a hybrid recipe because his girlfriend is a vegetarian, just like me. So I made her and I about 10 meatless little sliders, and I made ham for everyone else, and it was a huge hit. Everybody loved them. I did too. Even with, people think, oh, no meat, it's not good. I loved them. I thought they were great without meat. People who had the meat liked that. So they're good either way. I had a crazy weekend though, because I went to a book fair, and in Minnesota this weekend, it was over 90 degrees. It was extreme heat index warning, whatever, all that kind of stuff that they tell you to worry about. It was bad. I got to tell you, it was really bad. It was at the Rustic Roots Winery, which is a beautiful winery. If you've ever been to it in Minnesota, it's in Scandia, I believe. It's a beautiful view. Their grapevines are just beautiful. They were right behind me in my booth, and I loved to turn around and just see the grapes hanging there, and it just was really beautiful. Their place is really great, and their food is so good. And so they had this big event for books. It was hosted by the Swoonworthy Bookstore, which is in White Bear Lake, which is run by two women, and they organized this. And it was so hot. Oh my gosh, I was so hot. I was taking a shower, and I didn't dry off all day long. I was just exhausted by the end of the day, lifting boxes of books and heavy tables, putting up the awning, the little tent cover, the gazebo tent. It was a lot of work. And when the selling was done, I decided I'm going to enjoy myself a little bit. So I went and got a margarita pizza, which is vegetarian, and a glass of wine. I got I forget the name of it. Triple something, I don't know. It was really a deep red, and it was so good. And I sat there in the heat in my little booth, and I ate the pizza, and I drank the wine when everyone else was taking their stuff down. As a result, I was the last one left cleaning up. But I enjoyed it so much that I just really wanted to sit there and enjoy the atmosphere and that kind of stuff. So I decided I was going to take that time for myself. And it was kind of funny though, because I was literally the only booth left. And then I'm like, well, maybe this is some kind of weird, awesome, wonderful advertising, because then people saw just my name. No other people were there. So I'm like, maybe it's not such a bad thing. And then this older gentleman came through, and he didn't realize that it was an ending at 3:00. And he was like, well, where is everybody? And I said, well, it was over. And he collects books to send to Africa. And I thought, well, geez, I'm the last one here, but these wonderful things are happening. People are seeing my name, kind of a little bit of advertising. And this guy comes around. And so I gave him 4 books. I donated 4 books to him, to his cause. He sent millions to Africa. And I wish I had brought my little pamphlet down here. I'll put it down in the podcast show notes. He collects books and he sends them to Africa. What a wonderful thing for him to do. He's an older gentleman. And I'm like, well, yeah, I would love to help out and send books to Africa. So I sent him 2 of my books about grief. How to honor your mom. 40 ways to honor your mom after she's passed away, because my mom died when I was 16. And it's something that I developed through time to try and help myself cope and celebrate my mom, instead of always feeling like I have to be just so miserable all the time. It kind of happened also because of Mother's Day. And I was like, how can I make this better? And I was a mom, but I still thought about my mom. How can I make this not so sad? So that's how that was born. Started as a blog post actually on Julie Hogue Writer. And it's always been so popular. So I made it into a little book. It's kind of like a pamphlet almost. It's like a little mini book. It's a self-help book. And then I gave the gentleman 2 of my cabin crew books. So, yes, it was I was the longest one there. I was in the heat the longest. But good things happened. So I'm like, maybe it's just meant to be. Anyway, okay. So it was a crazy weekend because then my son also threw his party. So that was crazy. And I was also on a conference. So it was a really busy weekend. But these party sliders are so good. And what's so great about it, because you can just vary the number. If you have more people who want meatless, you just do more meatless. It's super easy. This is a super easy recipe. The longest part about it is actually building all the little sandwiches, the sliders. So basically you're going to take, I did 60 sandwiches, 60 little sliders. And it was just about perfect. We had a little bit left over, but it was just about perfect for what we needed for the party. So basically it was 5 bags or packs of the Hawaiian rolls. And I didn't use the sliders. I think you get less in the pack with the sliders. But I got just the regular buns and I cut them, each of them. They're a little bit smaller, I think, than the sliders. The sliders are nice because they're already pre-cut, but these fit nicely in the pan. I used those rectangular pans, like a 9x13 metal pan, and I lined it with tin foil. And so then I put all these sandwiches in there, and you put them in there real snug, right? So then they're kind of square like that. They fit in there really good. They were really snug fitting. That was the way I did it because it helped them stay together. So basically you take the 5 packs, which is 60 Hawaiian rolls, and then you're going to need about 30 slices of cheddar cheese. The kind that comes pre-sliced that you use for sandwiches works best because it's very consistently cut. And I basically tore it in half and then folded it so that it would fit on the little square of the Hawaiian bun. And I also folded the ham into a little square too. And now I used 50 slices of ham sandwich meat. And you want it to be thin because you're folding it, right? You're folding it up. So you're already getting like more than one layer of the ham because you're folding it into a small square. And then 2 containers of the spinach, artichoke, and parmesan dip and spread. La Terra Fina is the kind I used, and I found it at Target. You can use any kind of spinach dip you want. I did like this one, though, with the artichoke and parmesan in it. But you could probably use any kind of spinach dip. I actually did use regular spinach dip the last time I made this, and it was just as good. This just adds a little bit of a different flavor with the artichoke and the parmesan. And then you need a half a teaspoon of garlic salt. I used the garlic salt with parsley. And then take 6 tablespoons of butter melted. So then you're going to take that garlic salt and you're going to stir it into your melted butter. This is super easy. And it's variable. I ended up using the 2 containers of, which I believe they're both 8-ounce containers of the dip. But, just buy a couple of containers of dip. And if you have some left over, eat it with veggies or whatever, right? Like, who cares? And so basically you're going to cut each roll in half. So I completely cut them in half and then laid them right next to each other, the top and the bottom. And then you spread a little bit of the dip, just like a thin layer. You don't need like a ton. Just spread that on the top. And then you do your cheese next. So I broke the cheese in half, which was like the deli slice cheddar cheese. And then I folded that into a square. So it went from a square to a rectangle to a square, if that makes sense to you. And the square was double layer thick with the cheese. So it was like half of a cheese slice folded in half. So when it became looked like a quarter of the original size. And so then I just put that against the spinach dip. And then I was done. When I was doing the meatless ones, I just put it on top and made it into a little sandwich and then set it into the pan with the tin foil. Now, if you're going to add the ham, you just add the ham and do the same thing. And so you really put them in there all nice and snug so that they're all kind of and they're all nestled. And then you don't have nearly as much drift if the lid, the tops, the lids, the tops of the buns are sliding around or whatever. But it stayed together really pretty good. And then you take your butter with the garlic salt in it and make sure you kind of stir that up periodically in case it settles, right? And then you just brush it. I used just like a rubber brush from the kitchen, which I used to brush olive oil and things on these, but on different things. But so basically you're just dipping it in your butter, your garlic salt butter, and then you brush it across all the tops of the sliders. And then you put them in the oven at 400 degrees for 15 minutes or until golden on top. Now, you could do up to 20 minutes, but you want to make sure you don't get them too done. But then they're warm and they're just so good. And so everybody really liked them. They just flew through them. They were just great. And just an easy thing to make. But, you can make it easily to be hybrid, to be split. For there's some meatless and some meat. And it's easy to control and keep them separate because you can see the meat or the non-meat. So it's really very easy, and it's a great way to offer vegetarian and meat-containing appetizer or main dish, whatever you want to do it for. And I did 60 because they're so small, right? They were having other foods and things, but I thought, they're pretty small. So they're kind of like a nice little appetizer slider, which I guess is what sliders, that's kind of the definition of them, right? So this was a great recipe. We really enjoyed it, and you can make it any size you want. Obviously, you can chop it down to something much more smaller. You could even just do one package if you just want a few, but it's really good. It's simple, and it's just really tasty. So just make sure you watch those buns and make sure they don't get too done. I think 15 minutes was ideal for my oven. Obviously, everybody's oven is different. Maybe 20 minutes is better in your oven, but just make sure you watch it so they don't get too done, right? You don't want them to be too done, but I had kind of like a dark golden color, and that was really quite tasty. And it's kind of funny to think about putting already baked bread put in the oven, right? Like that's kind of a weird thing, like, wait, what? It's already cooked. But it just does something different to the bread, especially when you put that garlic salted butter across the top. It does do something different to the bread, and it starts out kind of more soft. And this is more like kind of like a crisping of it. And it's just warm and it's crispy on top. And it's got the butter and the garlic. It's really good. I'm like thinking, geez, I want to make those again. And it is a little bit time consuming. So make sure you are aware of that when you're building them. But I sat there with my glass of wine as I was making them. It was great. I was just, eating the veggies in the dip on the counter. And we had some watermelon. I just was, taking it easy, making this food. Yes, we helped him host the party, so we did do a lot. But then while the party was going on, I was just enjoying the glass of wine, talking to my husband. We're just eating stuff, and I was drinking wine, making these sandwiches, and then I brought them out to the kids, and we have some in the house. So it was fun. It was a good weekend. It was a very busy weekend. And then today, I don't know if you're in Minnesota or anywhere in the Midwest, we had this massive storm that up to 70 miles per hour wind, and it just kind of ripped through, right? And we lost power for about 10 hours. And this morning I was like, okay, we got a message saying it's not going to come back until tomorrow night. I was like, oh my gosh. So I went and bought ice. I put all the ice, we got like 9 bags of ice, put them in both our fridges and freezers. And then the power came on. Like, okay, we have a lot of ice for quite a while now, but it came on much sooner than they thought, which was wonderful. Bummer thing is, though, we got some branches down. My sunflowers got, knocked over, so they're broken. And I'd been nursing them along since seeds. They're about 3 feet high, doing really good, just snapped. So that really stinks. I was really bummed about that. But many areas had down power lines. In Iowa, I think they even had like a travel ban because of the down power lines. So, and trees were down, and just like this storm came out of nowhere, and it just ripped through and it knocked over chairs at our house. But that and branches was the worst that it did, and my sunflowers. So could have been worse. And I know other people got worse than we did. So hopefully they're getting their stuff all figured out and cleaned up. And it's the nature, I guess, of winter or summer storms. Winter storms. Right now it's so hot. There's no way there's any winter thoughts, right? Because it's like 84 today. Well, thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed that recipe. And it's really good. It's really, the thing I like about it too is you can just easily do it. It's not complicated. It's not like a lot of chopping. It's a little bit tedious to make the little sandwiches. But if you're making a smaller volume, that'll go faster. And they're just good. They're just little tasty sandwiches, and they're super yummy. We have an amazing day, and thanks so much for listening. Come back again I have a very exciting guest coming on pretty soon, Cookies on the Fly, and she makes these amazing cookies. She decorates them. They're gorgeous. So that will be coming up as the next podcast episode after this one. I'm going to talk to her on Thursday. She just did this. She made all these book covers for the book fair for grown-ups, all these different books. And the cookies were amazing. They looked exactly like the book covers. She's incredible. I cannot wait to talk to her. So stay tuned for that. That's coming up. She won some kind of an award at the state fair too, I think. So we're going to find out about that more when we talk with her in the next episode. All right. Thanks for listening. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye now.